Let's move on to Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson. Have we seen the best of Zion Williamson? And the numbers are there for Zion. I believe he's averaging 22 points per game. I believe 6 rebounds, shooting close to 60% on the season. And what I saw in that in-season tournament game against the Los Angeles Lakers, the New Orleans Pelicans, is just a letdown. Not just from him. Yep, the whole team played bad. Brandon Ingram, C.J. McCollum included. It looked like they just weren't ready. And all day in the media, Shaq and Charles Barkley picked the Pelicans to win in Vegas, so everyone went against him and picked the Lakers. But he was stating how he felt like those guys were the younger team, how they're going to have fresh legs, and they're just going to be more athletic and just be game for the Lakers. And Shaq was saying he needs to see these performances from Zion and Brandon Ingram, see them step up against the Lakers and stuff like that. And it appeared like Shaq was right. We haven't gotten these performances where they're supposed to step up against these teams and beat them. And a lot of that has to do with Zion Williamson. Now, there's a whole lot of, controversy about how Zion is being used, of course, being a point forward and people saying he should be finishing around the basket. I agree with that. Do I think that he has those point guard skills in terms of handling and passing? Yes, he does. But the best thing he's able to do is finish at the basket, attack the basket. And he's been angry about how he's being used. And the only thing I can come up with is that Zion is going about this the wrong way. You would constantly attacking the basket, getting hurt, things of that nature, being explosive like that is who you are. But when you're out there looking like Eddie Lacy, who ran for the Green Bay Packers, looking big as hell, not having that mobility, not looking like how you did in your off-season photos where you look like you were in shape, look like you were ready at the start of the season. We're now, 2 months into the season, quarter way into the season, and you look like you're back out of shape. And everyone has been saying on TV, from Shaq, Charles Barkley, who's had this issue, Stephen A. Smith, multiple personalities on TV have said, yo, man, you got to get in shape. That's the only way you're going to stay healthy. That's the only way you're going to be impactful. That's the only way that you're going to lead this team that desperately needs you. And that has been the problem since Duke, right? Like, that's been the problem since college. And the Pelicans have committed a lot of money to Zion Williamson, even with a weight clause in his contract. And it seems to just fall on deaf ears. And that's alarming because it's nothing that's on the court that should affect Zion because he's going to be efficient. He's going to get to the basket. He's going to be a monster in that regard. But it seems like everything that happens off the court seems to be an issue. The offseason issues with baby mamas and Triple X stars and stuff like that. The issues with dieting, conditioning. We thought that was going to be a wake-up call for him. And it seems to just turn around and be the same crap. Now, is there a reason why they're asking him to play point forward? Maybe not be as aggressive going to the basket and stuff like that. Maybe they're watching his injuries. Maybe that's the one thing that I can look at and be like, maybe they're looking at his injuries like that. And that can be rightfully so, as I have scrolled across at the bottom of the game. He's played 133 games out of 410 possible games. That is 1/3 of his career that he has been playing. The other 2/3 he's been injured. So I can understand there's hesitance to put him in those aggressive spots on the court, battling underneath, using his physicality, getting in, bumping and moving people out the way. That's who he is. And maybe they're trying to save him for the long haul and try to find a different role for him to not be in those situations. But Zion's injury history is a problem, and that has a part to do with him not being in shape. His best season was the 2021 season where he averaged 27 points per game on 60% shooting and was just a monster. The next season he got hurt, didn't play the whole season, came back and scored 26 points in 29 games. So there's there's everything there with a superstar with Zion in terms of his efficiency, in terms of his star power, in terms of his power, in terms of his play style. Everything there speaks superstar on the rise. But his injuries, his conditioning has been able to keep him off the court. And one guy that really comes to mind, especially during my era as a young kid and stuff like that, watching basketball, is Shawn Kemp. And now these are two completely different things. Shawn Kemp had substance abuse issues, eating issues and stuff like that. Got traded to Cleveland and just got big. And before you know it, in a couple of years, he was out the league. And I'm not, of course, Zion doesn't have a drug problem or anything. He has a conditioning, eating problem right now, whatever the case may be. A health issue, diet issue. And we've seen people just be out of the league for these issues, right? Like being heavy, getting hurt. And yes, he's gotten the contract, but at the same time, like, I just think from the Zion's perspective, where you think about what he said last season, especially with the Suns, when he did that 360 windmill dunk and everyone was mad and stuff like that on the Suns. And he was like, hey, these guys knocked my team out the playoffs last year. And you think with that type of message and that type of thought process from him, that there would be a little bit more onus on leading this team. And he has failed to do that. Now, people have said that they brought CJ McCollum in, JJ Redick in to kind of try to guide him through these waters. And it's like, that hasn't worked. They've been trying to get him on a diet and conditioning. That hasn't worked, and it's fallen on deaf ears. And I'm just looking at Zion like, man, you have a chance here to lead a franchise. One, not many guys have the chance to do that in the NBA. That's just what it is. And from that standpoint of his comments last season saying how the Suns eliminated his team from the playoffs the last year and stuff like that, and he wants to be involved in all this stuff, the only way that happens is if you're in shape. The only way that happens is if you're engaged. The only way that happens is if you're in shape. That's just the nature of the beast. And to think of Zion being in those limelights of Shawn Kemp and stuff like that and all these off-the-court things playing a role in how you play and how you lead your team, that's unfortunate because he's one of the best young stars in the NBA. He's gotten the max dollars. And you feel at this point he should be in those conversations of where Tyrese Halliburton is. And looking at the game where LeBron James outplayed you, that was supposed to be a moment of matching up and saying, hey, LeBron, I'm in the house too, like you guys did a couple years ago, I believe, when they had that great back and forth in that game. And you just feel like this was a moment lost that should have been bigger than what it was. And maybe the Pelicans didn't take it seriously. Maybe they just was like, hey, we're just going to pack it in. But looking at it from that standpoint, it's like, man, come on, man. Zion, you can do better than that. And credit to him in the post-game conference. It looked like he was like, I got to be better on both ends. I got to be more aggressive on the offensive end and give my team a chance. And hopefully this is a moment of embarrassment for him. And maybe this is a point where it can be a turning point, light a fire underneath him like, hey, after this playing tournament, we got to step it up and we got to be better. I got to be better as a player. And hopefully that works out with the coaching staff, with Willie Green and stuff like that. Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. Hopefully they're able to figure that out because they were one of the best teams last year, I believe, with Zion. I believe they were a 1 seed at one point. And to see them just fall off like that, especially in this Western Conference, which isn't set in stone. Even though the Minnesota Timberwolves and OKC are playing well, the Lakers have been banged up. The Suns have been banged up. Denver just recently got back Jamal Murray, and I believe Aaron Gordon came back as well. So looking at this Western Conference, which is still open, you can have a significant impact on that just by being in shape. We've seen it. Like, this team is better. They got Murphy. They got Hawkins. They have some young guys that you guys can play behind. You have Brandon Ingram, who's been playing well, CJ McCollum, who's been playing well. And it's like you guys have a chance here to do something that city hasn't had. And I think it's just take a little bit more onus, put a little bit more on his shoulders, and try to be better for that team because they deserve it. They deserve it, man. Like, these small market teams deserve it. And hopefully Zion can figure that out down there.